This Minecraft world is in desperate need of a good gunpowder farm. My friends on this realm built a gunpowder farm, but it makes like a gunpowder every millennium, and I don't got time for that. So I'll be tearing down the old gunpowder farm and making a new one. But while I do that, I've got some more Reddit stories I'll be reading, so sit back, relax, and let's go judge some people. Okay, here's the first story. Am I overreacting? Should I tell my neighbor that there's someone creepy next door, and they should probably not let their daughter on their lawn? For context, I went outside today to go pick up my friend and play tennis. My neighbor is always outside, sitting on his porch, and whenever we do talk, he's very, very adamant about how neighbors should stay in touch with one another. Every time he sees me, he mentions it. He's around 70 years old, and half of the time, I can't understand a word he's saying, but I laugh along because I just thought he was a sweet old man. However, I've noticed his eyes constantly shifting to look at me inappropriately. Again, brushing it off and ending the conversation after he does this. A week ago, he kept hinting that he wanted me to walk with him around the neighborhood. I told him he could walk with my mom, and he kept bringing up about how he doesn't know much people around here, how he used to be active in his old neighborhood, and how he can't get out of the house with anyone. Today he came up to me, usual old man talking, and him asking if I was going to work. I told him no, but I do have to go, and I'll talk to him another time. He looked at me up and down and said, "With those little shorts on? I'm 18. Not even if that matters." I was so uncomfortable, and I said, "What?" He then replied, "Oh, you know, I'm just a man." What the fuck? He has a granddaughter around the age of 8 and 2 grandsons my age. My neighbor's daughter sometimes goes over to play with his granddaughter, and I feel as though I should warn her mom about what he just did. I don't feel safe going outside, and I don't want anything to happen that could be prevented if he's claiming he's just a man. Somebody go get their grandpa. But no, that's terrible. I get that he might be lonely, and the poster mentioned that he can't get out of the house without anyone, but you still shouldn't be saying stuff like that to people, especially young people. I don't think you're in the wrong for wanting to warn your neighbors about the old man's behavior. I think the whole neighborhood should be aware of this man's actions and keep the kids safe. Because nowadays, stuff like this happens just too much, and the kids don't deserve it, and they need to be protected. But I was reading the comments on this post, and I found one of these comments I thought was funny. It reads, "Sounds like we need to rush this gem to Congress." But on a serious note, very creepy behavior, should definitely tell others. Stay safe. So yeah, final thoughts, not overreacting, and stay away from this man. Far, far away. Okay, moving away from creepy old dudes, here's the next story. Would I be the asshole for telling my client that I used to date her husband? I, 28 female, worked at a hair salon, and have a client, 29 female. She first started coming here in November and has been my new regular. The first time she came in, she said it was funny that me and her daughter have the exact same name, especially since it's an older, uncommon name. I thought it was nice. She told me she had a husband, 29 male, which I didn't really care about, to be honest. A few months later, she made an appointment and she told me a bit about her husband. She told me that her husband's name was John, and that they met about 6 years ago at work and ended up getting married 3.5 years ago. We ended up talking some more, and she revealed that she went to the same university that I went to before dropping out. As she kept on talking, I realized that John was insanely similar to my ex-boyfriend. However, I thought it was just a coincidence since I still live in the area that I went to university to. John is a common name, and people can have similar interests. Fast forward to last week, she made another appointment, and this time, she showed me her vacation photos that had John in it. I instantly recognized him, but didn't say anything, and just did her hair. Honestly, I don't know what to think, but I'm a little weirded out. We ended on extremely bad terms, so I was a little weird to find out his daughter had the same name as me, his ex-girlfriend. While I don't see anything wrong with having my ex's wife as my client, I feel a little odd about the whole situation. I don't want to tell her and act as if I'm the crazy ex-girlfriend and trying to ruin their relationship, but I feel she should know. If I was in her shoes, I would want to know. I'm not sure what to do. Should I stay quiet and let it be, or should I tell her? She's a genuinely kind and sweet person. Would I be the asshole if I tell her? The poster then added some additional info because people kept asking in the comments, so I'll read that really quick. 1. We were pretty serious, together about 3 years and planning to get an apartment together. We had a dog that he took. 2. We ended up ending things after we got in a fight in his car. He threw me out of his car in the middle of the night, like 5 blocks where I lived. 3. Not abusive, just an alcoholic. 4. Don't know exactly how they chose their daughter's name. And 5. She found me through my Instagram account for work. My socials are private. And before I talk about this story, there is an update, so I'll read that really quick. Update. After seeing everyone's comments, I won't tell her, but I'm dropping her as a client. Yeah, it's probably unnecessary to tell her, but at the same time, I don't want her to feel hurt / weirded out if the truth came out and reveal I was hiding it from her while taking her money. Okay, so this one is pretty interesting. Like, what are even the odds of, like, out of all of the people your client just happens to be dating your ex? Like, that's really unlucky for this poster to be having this problem. That must have been just so awkward though, like getting more and more details about your client's husband, being like, huh, that sounds a lot like my ex, you know, just like putting the puzzle pieces together that this is your ex, and that your ex is the one that she's talking about. I don't think it's wrong to be weirded out though. I mean, especially since the poster said that they ended on really bad terms. Maybe it wouldn't be as weird if they ended on good terms, but I don't know. I feel like you don't really have to tell her that she's married to your ex though. That's your personal information and you don't have to give that out to people or feel inclined to if you don't want to. It's none of your client's business. The husband naming the daughter after you is a little weird, I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I'd be naming any of my kids after one of my exes. That just seems really weird. But no, you wouldn't be the asshole for not telling your client that you used to date her husband. And I think it's just really unlucky that your client just so happens to be married to your ex. Like, that is just so unfortunate. Oh, I should probably mention that I didn't come up with this gunpowder farm design. I don't have the brain meats for that. I'm following a tutorial for this farm. I'll put the video down in the description in case you want to build this farm. Okay, enough yapping. Here's the next story. Am I overreacting for being upset this new girl started a fight because I have a nearly empty fridge? Just started dating this new girl a month ago. Everything's been going really well so far. It's my first relationship after my ex of 5 years cheated on me and left when I confronted her. Took a year to heal and finally felt ready to date again. First few were misses until I met this new girl. Now for the context of the story. It was her first time spending the night at my place. I cooked us dinner, we sipped wine and chatted. Then the next morning, she said she wanted to address something. She says it's really immature and unattractive that I don't have a lot of food / things in my fridge. Now mind you, I live alone in a luxury apartment. I make really good money relatively speaking. I also live directly across the street from a grocery store. I explained that I don't see the point in buying a bunch of food and random things when I realized that I was wasting a lot and throwing a bunch of stuff away. So I only grab things that I need when I know I'll need them. I also have condiments, snacks, and other common essentials. Yet I also have some beer, wine, and spirits in the fridge too. She said it was childish and started attacking me, saying I lived like a divorced dad or a college kid. I felt like I had a good counters for her arguments, yet she eventually just said grow up and left my place. I texted her later and said it was a little ridiculous to attack me and storm out like that over an understocked fridge. She said I needed to grow a pair and stop living like I'm broke. We've been talking today and it's like the fight never happened. I'm still weary / don't know if I should just let it go or see this as a red flag that should tell me more stupid fights could follow. For the record, she didn't apologize but hasn't brought it up since. One final note, I always buy beef, chicken, veggies, fruits, etc. when I know people are coming over or there's a specific dish I want to make for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. There's been a few times I realized I need more than a few ingredients that I don't have yet. However, like I said, it's less than a 2-minute walk from my apartment door, and they're open from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., which being in my 30s, I don't ever see a time where I'll randomly need something I didn't think about post 10 p.m. I'm pretty well organized, well thought out person, and I've never had people over past 10 p.m. unexpectedly, meaning I was out of luck for the night. I also have a bunch of food / items in my cabinets and cupboards that don't die as quick as things in the fridge. I only avoid buying things that expire quickly or will need to be frozen to be preserved. In my mind, why have stuff sitting in my fridge or freezer when I can get it fresh the moment I know I'll need it? Am I overreacting for being kind of upset at this? Or does she have a valid point? Okay, there's a couple of updates to this post, so I'll read those really quick. Update. I'm gonna have a talk with her tonight. Probably gonna end things if things don't go well. I appreciate all of your guys' input. It means a lot. The supportive comments helped me a great deal. Okay, here's the second update. Update part 2. Broke up with her. Never fun, but you guys definitely were right. It ended up turning into another fight when I brought it up. It's reassuring to hear from many women as well. Hell, if anyone is single in Minnesota, I'm 30, feel free to message me, I guess, lol. I also just wanted to say, because I saw a few people commenting asking how clean the apartment is. My home is always spotless. I'm a bit of a clean and organization freak. I can't relax if there's a clutter and random things everywhere. I do a deep clean every Friday after work, wipe counters down, clean the stove, sink, sweep, and mop the floor, etc. And as the time of recording this, he said he'll post some pictures, but there's nothing here. Okay, so initial thoughts right off the bat. Who gives a shit about how full the fridge is? It's not that deep. I really don't see what's wrong with this poster's fridge. This seems like a really big red flag on the girl's part. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a guy, but I really don't see what's wrong with having a fridge full of stuff that you only use. This girl's acting like your fridge is filthy and maggot infested or something like that. Because that would be a different story, you know? I could see that starting arguments, but having an only necessities fridge? I don't know. I don't see the problem. But yeah, this girl's reaction to this whole thing definitely isn't giving off good relationship vibes, and I think the poster made the right choice cutting things off with her. Definitely sucks though that this was your first relationship after getting cheated on by your ex of 5 years. That's terrible. Hopefully you have way better luck in the future, man. Okay, this next story had a really interesting title. It was hard to scroll past. How can I, 25 female, get my boyfriend, 23 male, to stop suffering maxing? Okay, I actually had to look up what suffering maxing was because I've never heard of this before, but the definition is the intentional practice of embracing, maximizing, or leaning into difficult, painful experiences to force profound personal growth, resilience, and character development. Okay, here's the story. Hey everyone, I know the title is a little weird, but hear me out. My boyfriend, male 23, really hates spending money on himself, and then complains about it. It makes no sense. He earns 6 figures, has no debt or loans, and virtually no cost of living. For context, he lives in a flat his parents bought him. Here's a few examples of what I mean by this. He often complains about how his colleagues are so well dressed and polished, but he still wears the same clothes his mom got him when he was 16. That are mostly too small or have holes in them. He refuses to go shopping for new stuff because he doesn't know what to get, then gets completely enraged when I point out nice outfits that would suit him well or offer to buy him clothes. He uses his dad's tossed out perfume, then complains about how it smells, but refuses to buy himself one that he actually likes. Same goes for food. He only eats fruits and vegetables when I buy them and says how much he loves them. But when he's alone, he lives off of dry noodles, plain yogurt, and bread. He even eats moldy and expired food just so they don't get thrown out. That's disgusting. What? When I dispose of the expired stuff, he throws a fit. He once fed me 5-month-old eggs without my knowledge, resulting in a trip to the ER. What? He complains about his haircut not suiting him, but refuses to go to a better barber because it's $10 more. He complains about his acne, but won't get the prescription his dermatologist issued him. He complains about being skinny, but now that he's built a bit of muscle, he's whining about how he doesn't want his shoulders to get broader because then he'd have to get new clothes. He complains about having to take cold showers, but literally nobody but himself is holding him back from letting it warm up a little bit before hopping in. His suffer maxing is so bad, it kind of started to imprint on me. I feel bad for replacing my shoes when they have holes. I feel guilty for showering with warm water and having a smoothie every morning instead of stale bread with nothing. It's really starting to piss me off, and I really need help understanding what causes this and how I can gently encourage him to get the things he likes. Are there any men here who have been like this and have successfully overcome it? Okay, so I'll have to go over with this story. So first things first, I think that there's definitely a balance issue at play. I think living frugal and trying to be a minimalist are good habits / lifestyles that would benefit you in the long run. However, I think that you can go too far with them and it'll end up being destructive. Kind of like those TLC world's cheapest family videos like that. Lifestyle seems really destructive for not only the person doing it, but everyone else that they live with. And I believe that this also applies to the whole suffer maxing thing. I'm a pretty firm believer in doing something that sucks every day because it'll make you a better person. This poster mentioned that her boyfriend takes cold showers, and yeah, I can see the point in those. I used to take those pretty consistently and it sucked, I'm gonna be honest. But it was also training my discipline. Also, just that feeling after taking a freezing cold shower and knowing you accomplished something that you didn't want to do just does wonders for you and your mind. They were also good in the sense that I would do something awful at the start of my day and it gave me this mentality of like, oh, yeah, that really sucked, but my day can only get better from here on out. Kind of like that whole eating the frog mentality. I don't really take them anymore because they sucked, but it's definitely something that I want to get back into. That being said, there has to be some meaning in the suffering that you're doing. And I feel like a lot of what this poster's boyfriend is doing to himself just lacks any meaning. Like, why are you eating moldy food on purpose? How is that gonna help you? I feel like you're just shooting yourself in the foot doing this to yourself. And unfortunately, it's gotten to the point where it's starting to affect the people that you care about, which is where this kind of stuff starts to become dangerous. It definitely shouldn't be to the point where your boyfriend's on-purpose suffering is starting to affect you. I think that this poster should bring up that the boyfriend's misery is starting to affect her life negatively, and if things don't change for the better, you shouldn't be around someone like that. And you definitely shouldn't feel bad for drinking a smoothie in the morning or replacing your shoes for new ones. You deserve nice things, and never let people tell you that you don't. Okay, next story, here it is. It's a rather short one. Should I tell a guy I don't know that his wife is cheating? A few days ago, a girl I met on Tinder years ago followed me and messaged me. We never met up in the past, only spoke very briefly on socials, like maybe for 2 days. Turned out she was married a few months back. She asked me some icebreakers and I thought she was being friendly until she said I was attractive and asked me why I'm single. At that point, I actually thought it was a scam or that she'd been hacked, but I was really curious to see what the scam was. She asked me to add her on Snap and immediately sent me some nudes with her face, and I was shocked. She asked me for some back and I ignored her, and she blocked me after a while. So now, I'm confused if I should let her husband know, as I have screenshots from the initial conversation. I don't know the husband, so I'm not sure if I should meddle with their affairs. Any advice? Okay, there's a couple edits here that I'll read before I share my thoughts. So edit 1. I highly doubt it's an open marriage because, to be honest, they're an interracial couple and I'm the same ethnicity and nationality as her husband, and I know open relationships are not at all common in our culture. Edit 2. As much as I wanted to, I decided not to tell or contact anyone and just not get involved. I feel like there's too many variables here and it's just not worth it to get into something I have no knowledge about. I still would have if the guy were my friend or someone I knew, but he's not. Hope he finds out soon enough though. Okay, so my initial thoughts after reading this post were, yeah, you definitely should tell. I feel like if my partner was cheating on me, I would definitely want to know. That's information that I would really want to know. It would probably hurt knowing the truth about it, but at the same time, you would be able to move on and find someone who's not going to cheat on you. However, I was reading the comments on this subreddit and a lot of people seem to be saying no. A lot of comments talking about that it's just not any of your business and you should just move on with your life. Better not to get involved in other people's business. Some people were also saying that the marriage was probably already doomed, which yeah, I mean, I could definitely see. It's not like you know any of the people here in the post. And what a lot of people are saying in the comments is that the husband probably already knows too. But I don't know, I feel like I would still tell him the truth. But what are your thoughts? Would you tell him? And that's the creeper farm done. Let's take a final look at it here. I like the gradient I did with the prismarine. I'm not gonna lie, it looked a little better in my head. But we're gonna roll with it. I'm gonna AFK on this little tower I made here and we'll see how much gunpowder this makes. Hopefully it's a lot more than the previous one. Okay, I forgot to hit record last time, but here's a little update. I left the creeper farm running for about half an hour and this is how much gunpowder we have now. I also did a little remake of the floor here. Got the same prismarine gradient as the farm itself, and you can see creepers are still spawning in, which is really good. Okay, I think for the rest of the video, I'll be working on these nether tunnels I made. On one hand, I know it's kind of useless working on this because on this realm, we downloaded waystones, for which, in case you don't know, waystones are a method of fast travel. But I just really like the design of this nether tunnel, so I really want to just keep working on it, even though it might be a little useless. But it just looks so cool, especially when you're flying with Elytra. Look at that. Oh, it's so cool. Okay, here's the next story. This one reads, am I the asshole for canceling a family camping trip after my nephew broke his leg? I, 26 male, am the youngest of 6 siblings and the only boy. I have 5 older sisters, I'm single, and I have a pretty good job. And because I don't have kids of my own, I love spoiling my nieces and nephews. I'm known as the fun uncle. I take them out, buy them birthday and Christmas presents, and generally enjoy spending time with them. I love all of them equally, but I'll have to admit I have a bit of a soft spot for my sister Jerry's 2 kids. Jerry is a widow, and out of all the children in the family, her son Andrew and daughter Emma are by far the most polite, respectful, and well-behaved. The other kids are also good kids too, but sometimes they can be a lot. A few months ago, Andrew's birthday was coming up. I asked him what he wanted, and instead of asking for a game console or some expensive toy, he told me he wanted to go camping with all of his cousins at a family campsite he'd seen on Instagram. The campsite was pretty far away. We'd have to take a train for about 5 hours and then a bus for another 2. Still though, I thought it sounded like a fun adventure, so I agreed. The plan was for me, Jerry, and 2 of my other sisters to take all 7 kids there for a long weekend. I was paying for everything: transportation, campsite fees, food, activities, everything. The kids were absolutely thrilled. For weeks, that's all they talked about, the camping trip. Then disaster struck. 2 days before Andrew's birthday, he fell off his bike and broke his shin. The break was bad enough that he needed surgery and was told he'd be recovering for quite a while. Once I learned that, I immediately canceled the camping trip. Instead, I bought Andrew a birthday present and organized a family beach day at a beach we all visit regularly. That way, Andrew could still be included, and all the kids could spend time together without having to travel for 7 hours each way while recovering from surgery. I thought this was the obvious thing to do. Apparently not. My sisters were furious with me. They said that their kids have been looking forward to this trip for months and that I crushed them by canceling it last minute. They argue that Andrew being unable to go shouldn't mean that everyone else has to miss out. My reasoning is that this trip was supposed to be for Andrew's birthday present. If the birthday kid cannot even attend because he's lying in bed recovering from surgery, I don't think it's fair to send all of his cousins off without him. The beach day is a good alternative. I still want the kids to have fun and spend time together. My sisters think that I'm being unreasonable and that I should have gone ahead with the camping trip anyway. Am I the asshole? I think it's pretty safe to say that you're not the asshole in the story. I mean, like you said, this whole camping trip was for Andrew's birthday, and I feel like that would really suck, just seeing all of your family go on a trip that was for you, and you were looking forward to go without you, and you're just stuck at the hospital. I think that the beach day was a great alternative. Sure, it might not be as fun or great as the camping trip, but no one could have prepared for Andrew breaking his shin. I understand that it must be pretty devastating to cancel the camping trip, especially for the kids, but you could always just reschedule when Andrew's shin heals. But yeah, I think prioritizing health over the camping trip is the right move, and your sisters definitely shouldn't be mad at you for trying to do the right thing. They should be there supporting Andrew's recovery because he just broke his shin right before his birthday. That's gotta be just horrible, awful. But yeah, the birthday kid definitely should be left out of his own trip just because the other kids wanted to go. That's just wrong. So yeah, not the asshole in this. Okay, here's the next story. This one's pretty funny. This one reads, am I overreacting for wanting up my neighbor over a duck? I, 32 female, work from home, and every morning I take my coffee into the garden before starting work. 6 months ago, a duck started visiting, just the one. I don't feed it, I don't encourage it. It just waddles in, sits by my pond for a while. He doesn't do anything wrong, he's just a duck, and leaves at some point in the day. Last week, my neighbor knocked on the door and said completely seriously, "Can you stop letting our duck into your garden?" Apparently, the duck also visits their garden and they must have been feeding him frozen peas. She said her kids love the duck and just wants to keep it. I said, "Oh, so it's not actually your duck then. It's a wild duck." I also said, "I don't feed him, he just turns up. I don't care what the wild duck does." My neighbor is frustrated, I think, and says, "Well, he clearly prefers your garden now." Again, he's a duck living his duck life. I don't care. And I asked, "Okay, that's nice your kids like the duck, but I can't control the duck. She just leaves, says nothing, and goes." A few days later, I go outside and there's 9 plastic ducks in her front garden. I thought, okay, she's crazy. Keep in mind, the duck is still coming into my garden, just existing. My husband then saw her in her PJs at the front of her house throwing peas all over her front garden. My husband is a pretty petty man and thought to put a tiny chair in the garden next to the pond for the duck. Obviously, the duck doesn't know to sit in it. We're not encouraging the duck at all. It's just a little wooden chair. Anyways, big mistake. Neighbor saw it. That afternoon, a note appeared in our letterbox saying, "Mocking children is disgusting." What? Anyway, fast forward to yesterday, 1 week later, duck lands in my garden as usual. He's a little chill. I go to work inside. About 45 minutes later, 9:45 a.m., I hear shouting outside. My neighbor is in the road pointing at my house, telling another neighbor, "See? She trained him. She wouldn't let my kids have him." Trained him? It's a duck. I was so annoyed. I went outside with a massive grin. "Hello, I don't suppose you're talking about me?" Like I said before, it's a wild animal. Neighbor she is talking to swings head around to me after I said that. I don't own him, nor do you or your children. I cannot control what that duck does. I don't feed it or encourage it to stay. I walk away and leave. Now, I need to work, but I can see her watching me through the window. My mom says I should scare off the duck just to keep the peace. My husband keeps referring to the duck as our son and named him Darwin, so he's not helpful because he doesn't work at home like I do. So now I'm encouraging the duck, Darwin, my son. He shall have anything he wants, including a rabbit hut I have gotten for free online filled with straw. Don't even know if that's right. And whatever ducks want, Darwin will get. My mom and dad think I'm being an asshole, and that I'm asking for trouble now. I love this story because I think it's so funny just how petty some people will get over pretty much nothing. Like, this person's neighbor is just getting all worked up over a wild duck. Like, it's not that serious. Like, this lady was really putting plastic ducks in her yard and telling people that you're a bad person for quote-unquote training the duck when all he was doing was just chilling in your yard. It's just insane to me how far people will take things over absolutely nothing. On a side note, I love how the husband gave the duck a name. That's some shit that I would do, and I don't see any harm in getting stuff for the duck either. Like, you're not forcing the duck to stay on your lawn or anything, so I don't see an issue there. I think if the kids really liked the duck, they could have asked to see the duck at your place since the duck seems to like it there, but then again, you're not obliged to. I feel like that would have been a better solution, or like a better way to go about things than just spreading rumors and telling the neighbors that you were training the duck. But yeah, not overreacting, and your neighbor needs to take a chill pill. Am I the asshole for buying a PS5 even though my family called it a selfish waste of money? I'm 20 and still live at home with my parents, but not for free. I pay my share of the rent, buy groceries for myself, and I don't take any money from them. Basically, I fully live on my own, except housing. I've wanted a PS5 for a long time. I saved up for my salary for almost a year, and it was aside from my main savings. To clarify more, I save money to move out. I want to do it after I finish college, or as soon as I have enough money for it. But as for now, paying rent is too high for me. My family tried to talk me out of purchasing every time I mentioned buying a PS5. My mom said it was time for me to start thinking about real life, not games. My sister said that if I had extra money, I could help out with my niece's birthday party. My brother called it childish, even though he's constantly spending money on his collecting hobbies. I don't condemn it. Still, I bought it last week. After bringing the box home, everyone started acting like I've done something so shady and shameful. My mom said it was selfish. My sister got upset because my niece saw the box and got excited, so according to her, I have to at least let her play it. My brother immediately suggesting putting the PS5 in the living room so everyone could use it. I said no, and that I bought it for myself, for my room, with my own money. I don't mind letting someone else play it sometimes. I also don't mind letting my niece play it, but I don't want it to become the family console on the very first day. After that, my mom said the problem wasn't the purchase, but my attitude towards things. My sister said I care more about games than about the family. Now, I feel a bit bad, but for some reason, my money only becomes family money when I buy something for myself. Also, all of our family members buy things, and sometimes expensive ones, but no one else gets criticized. Am I the asshole? Okay, so I think we can all agree that you're not the asshole in the story. Like you said, it's your own money that you worked for, and you should definitely get a say in where that money goes, even if other people think it's quote-unquote selfish. I believe that as an adult, there's nothing wrong with wanting to spend your own money on games. Games are not just for kids, like there's a reason that mature-rated games exist. And I don't think it's fair to be called selfish for wanting to get a PS5, even if PS5s cost a lot of money. I think part of becoming an adult is being irresponsible with your money. Not saying that this poster is being irresponsible, but I think it's pretty much a canon event to be irresponsible with your money. Like, I'm pretty sure we've all done it. For me, I blew my first paycheck on $300 Air Jordans and Apple AirPods. After I blew my entire check, I felt like shit, and in the future, I wanted to save a little bit of every paycheck. That's just something I only would have learned by being irresponsible with my money. But I do think it's pretty nice that you let your niece play on your PS5, but I think it is pretty iffy that your sister tried to guilt trip you when she said that your niece got excited when she saw the box. But yeah, your family seems really entitled, and I think it'd be a good idea to move out soon, because this just sounds like a really annoying situation to be in. Your family should learn to mind their own business about other people's financial purchases, unless they have like a gambling problem or some kind of spending problem. But yeah, not the asshole. And with that, we've made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing, because it helps out a lot. And I do apologize if this video took a while to come out. I've just had a lot of stuff on my hands, and it's been really hard to work on videos, but I hope that the next video doesn't take this long. But thanks for watching, and that's all. See ya.